Hello everyone, Teacher Jessica here, and I am coming to you today with all of my tips and tricks on time control. This is a big issue right now with lots of teachers. It's hard to end right at 25 minutes with those 4 students. So I'm going to give you all of my knowledge that I have to help you utilize your time better. So first, I want to focus on when you should get to that Let's Play slide. Now I know we have a range that you can get there between about 18 to 20 minutes. I really recommend getting there at about 18 and a half to 19 minutes. And that is going to give you enough time to get through all of those extra slides that are after that game, whether it be a Showtime slide or a crown page, things like that. They take time, and you're going to need enough of it at the end of class in order to end at 25 minutes. So when you get to that Let's Play slide at about 18 and a half to 19 minutes, and then if you end your game at about 21 and a half to 22 minutes, that's going to give you enough time to get through the Showtime slide and to get through the crown page as well. If you have both a Showtime and a crown page, I suggest 21 and a half minutes. If there is not a Showtime slide, I suggest 22 minutes. That's going to give you enough time to get through that song, and then it's going to help you to have enough time as well to get through the crown page and to get to that review slide on time. If you get to the review slide at about 23 minutes, that gives you 1 minute to review everything that's on the slide, and then 1 minute to say goodbye to everybody. I have found that this is really the sweet spot for ending right at 25 minutes. So let me go through that one more time. So Let's Play slide, 18 and a half to 19 minutes. End the game at about 21 and a half to 22 minutes. And that gives you enough time to get through the Showtime and the goodbye song and the crown page in order to get to the review slide at 23 minutes. Now, 23 minutes gives you 1 minute for the review on that page, and then 1 minute from 24 to 25 to say goodbye to all of the students. Now you may think, do I really need 1 whole minute to say goodbye to all the students? Well, you would be surprised. You're saying goodbye to all of them individually, so you really need to give them that time to say, you know, Eric, you did fantastic today. Great job. Or, you know, and even let them know something that they did well. You know, you're a good listener. You read really well. Great job, Eric. And then say goodbye. And that really helps them to, you know, really feel like they personally did a great job. And then I always like to bring all of them up together at the end to let them say goodbye to each other. So all of that together really does take a whole minute. So I do really suggest allowing minute 24 to minute 25 be the time to say goodbye. Number 2, how do you get through all of the material before the Let's Play slide and actually end up at the Let's Play slide at 18 and a half to 19 minutes? That is one of the big unanswered questions that a lot of teachers have. A lot of the MagicEars classes are kind of set up in 2 different sections before the Let's Play slide. For example, if you are teaching an alphabet lesson, there are 2 letters. Or if you are teaching maybe a level 2 class and it also focuses on 2 different letters, not, you know, 2 consecutive letters. Maybe it is an umbrella and you're teaching the letter U and the letter Q. These are kind of how a lot of the MagicEars lessons are set up. Even an upper level class kind of has 2 different sections. They focus on something specific first and go into detail a little bit about it, and then it goes into detail about something else. And if you can kind of break up the first part of class before the Let's Play slide into those 2 sections, that's going to help you utilize your time correctly. So for that first section, you want to end it and get to that second section by about 10 to 11 minutes. If you are getting there by 12 to 14 minutes, it's pushing it just a little bit, especially because the second section has the role play slide in it. So you will want a little bit more time to get through that role play section. So I suggest getting through that first section by about 10 to 11 minutes. Then in the second section, you have plenty of time, about 12 to 18 minutes, to get through the rest of that material. And the first section also has the greeting and it has the warm-up song as well, so that takes up time as well. But I have found in almost all of the classes that I have taught that the second section takes more time than the first section. So let me say that one more time. The first section, whether it's teaching that first letter or focusing on that first word, you should be able to get through all of that material between 10 to 11, maybe 12 minutes. The second section, where it starts to focus on that next letter or starts to focus on that next concept, needs to be about 12 or 13 to 18 and a half minutes. And you should get to that Let's Play slide at about 18 and a half to 19 minutes. And this gives you a little bit of wiggle room as well. If you do get to that second section at about 10 to 11 minutes, it's going to give you the wiggle room that you want in order to extend a little bit with your students. I know that a lot of teachers are missing that extension in that they want to do it, but they don't feel like there is enough time to do those extensions with the class in order to kind of really connect with them. So if you are able to get through that first section at 10 to 11 minutes, you will have a little bit of wiggle room in that second section to ask your students some extra questions or to really pull them in and, extend one of the activities to make it really personal and fun for them. Also, if you end 10 to 11 minutes for that first section, you're going to be able to have extra time if you need it to work with students that maybe aren't necessarily paying as much attention as you'd like them to, or if you, if it's really hard to get those students to speak in general, getting through that first section a little bit quicker and having more time in that second section, especially during the role play slides, that's going to really benefit you in being able to connect with all of the students and getting enough student output as well. Third thing I want to talk about is when a student brings a prop or lots of props to class. This is a great way to connect with the students, but it can also be hard to control your time if they are always constantly showing you those props. So I have a few tips on how to handle this in a good way that helps the student feel like they did a good job, but also it doesn't really detract from your time control. If you notice that a student has a prop, you can drag their screen up and acknowledge it. That's a great thing to do. If you want to bring them up on interaction mode, that's great, but I suggest probably waiting to do that until it's actually a time for interaction mode, because it really is going to slow you down if you have time control issues. So if you see that a student has a prop, just drag their screen up and let them know that you see it, and this is a great thing to do with the first time that you see that they have a prop. Do you need to do it with every single prop? Not necessarily. What I do when I see that a student has lots of props constantly is I actually just draw an arrow right above their screen. So if their screen is right here, I'll just draw an arrow right above their screen like, yes, Eric, that's right. Oh, Susie has one too. And I draw an arrow. And it really allows me to acknowledge all of those props at the same time without having to drag every single student up. And it still helps them to feel that it makes them feel special and that they did something well, but it also doesn't take very much time to just draw that arrow. I've seen that it has been sufficient for helping them to feel like their props are noticed and that their props are special. And another thing to do, if you notice that all of the students have a prop, but except one student, you can say something like, I bet Frank has a prop too. I bet he brought a flower, or I bet he has a chair in his house too. And that's a great way to, you're drawing all the arrows, you're drawing all the check marks, and you're able to do it on all 4 of the students. So don't feel like drawing those arrows is going to make one of the students feel left out. Just acknowledge that student too, and then move on. And it really doesn't take that much time away from your class. Okay, number 4, when you have students that don't like to talk very much, or it's really, pulling teeth to get them to talk, how do you control your time when the students aren't talking? There are a few ways that you can handle this. One way is to pull them up in pairs and have them read in pairs. I don't suggest doing this on every single slide. I think a great rule of thumb is bringing them up on the read together slides and not pulling them up on the study together slides. And that's because usually the study together slides go hand in hand with a let's practice page. So usually you're doing some study together pages right before a let's practice page. So leave the one-on-one interaction for that let's practice page. If really nobody is talking, call them out by name. You know, Eric, Lacey, Elsa, Mark, let's say, can you, and just call their name out together. You know, Eric, Lacey, Elsa, Mark, can you say, and have them read that sentence. But just know that if they aren't all reading on that page, the let's practice page is coming, and you will have the time then to focus one-on-one with them. So don't worry a ton if they're all not reading on the study together page, because you will be able to get them to read on the let's practice page. And something that I like to do as well, especially if a study together page is right before a let's practice page, is actually have them say that sentence with me on the let's practice page. So if the sentence is, it is an umbrella, and then the next slide is a let's practice page to study umbrella, I will have them say umbrella, and then I'll have a little bit of fun with the word umbrella, and then I will have them say it is an umbrella. And that really kind of makes up for if they don't read with you on the study together page. So that's going to help you to keep going, even if your students are not reading as much as you want them to. You can still move on, have that time on the let's practice page, and usually the parents are satisfied with that. So remember, it's a read together. They need to be reading together. But go ahead and pick a few slides, a few read together slides, to let them come up and read one on their own, or read them in pairs, but not on every single one, or it just takes way too much time. And again, study together, try not to have them brought up, have them read it all together, because that let's practice page is coming. Another thing you can do if you notice that some students are reading and other students are not, if you have a sentence that everyone was supposed to read together, and maybe you heard two of the students read it, put a check mark over their screens and say, oh, good job, Elsa and Mark. Let's have Stephen and Eric read together. And just drag those students up real quick, have them read, move on. That way, the students that did read, they know that they read, and the other students know that they didn't read and they need to read with you. Keep it fun and lively, but just check. Oh, Elsa and Lacey, you did a great job. Let's have Susie and Eric read with us too. And then when they read, just add their check to and move on. It doesn't have to be any more than that. Next one, what to do when there is a ton of dialogue in the lesson. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do lots of lower level classes. I do not teach very many level 4 and level 5 classes. I prefer the younger ones, and so I don't have a plethora of knowledge on what to do for those upper level classes, because I have not taught a ton of them. But what I can tell you is that if you keep most of it as reading together, you're going to save time. You really are. You can't have each student read every single thing on the slide individually. You just can't. It's going to take too much time. So I suggest, especially for those upper level classes, choose some slides where you can kind of role play with them, especially if you're supposed to role play with them, as there are a lot of role play type slides in those upper level classes. Stick to those slides as the slides that you bring students up to have them read, back and forth. But the other ones really should be group activities. And if they struggle to all read together, you can break it down in pairs. You can break down the sentences, have them read just parts of it, and utilize that mute all function at the top, especially if you're breaking down a paragraph. So have them read a sentence or two, and then once you hear most of them or all of them finish those 2 sentences, mute, and then have them, you can model the other parts of the other sentences, and then unmute and have them read it to you. And that's going to save time as well. So I hope that these tips really help you to have smoother time control in your classes. Let me know if there's anything else that you are wondering about, if there are any other scenarios that you need advice on, and I would be happy to help. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.